tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Ryan Ferguson. I am married. My wife is Rebecca. I have 3 kids. My oldest is Max. He's 17. I have a daughter named Keziah, who is 14, a daughter named Petra, who is 12. We have a dog and a rabbit.
Here we go.
We have a rabbit.
Fun.
Yeah, just got the rabbit. I grew up in Pennsylvania till I was 13. Moved to South Carolina when I was 13. Been here ever since. My parents moved us so my dad could go to school. He became a pastor and missionary in life, and I have 1 sister. I think that's the highlights. I'm a pastor. That's what I do for a living right now. My background is mostly in theater. Been a pastor for about 12 years.
Oh my word, 12 years.
Yeah, 12 years this February.
That's cool. Okay, so I gave you some questions. First question is, do men struggle with identity issues?
Yeah. I think men struggle with identity issues all across the board. Like everything that word can mean. Whatever your gender, we all have the same identity issues. Even if, and I'd say probably the one where that question really goes after is, do men struggle with identity issues that equal body issues?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is still a great big yes.
Mm-hmm. Have you struggled with that? And if so, how?
Yeah. Yes. So that's a little bit of a story.
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
To get there. So I guess from the time I was young, I was the chubby kid.
Mm-hmm.
So you put that into elementary school, it mattered a little bit. When I moved down here, it started really mattering. You know, that middle school, junior high,
Yeah.
high school, the last thing you want to do is be out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a natural part of that isn't a great big heart issue. It's just you're immature, you're a kid, you're longing to fit in, which is ultimately what Jesus does, but you know, you may have less of a grasp of that at 14 in school. So I was the fat kid in school and made fun of for that in a lot of different ways. And it's unbelievable to me how many of that person, the fat kid, have the classic self-deprecating humor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you're then the class clown.
Hmm.
But I've kind of learned as an adult, like a lot of that self-deprecating humor, especially that was self-critical, was an attempt to, again, this is as an adult, depower you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to get there first.
Yeah.
I'll make the joke about myself, therefore you don't,
Mm-hmm.
therefore I am not hurt, even though I really am.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can diffuse it more.
Mm-hmm.
It's less wounding there. So that set up a lot of different, I don't know, thought patterns, behaviors that I, even until this year, wasn't aware of how they really impacted my life. Choices I made that were an attempt to, medicate's probably a strong word. Soothe is
Mm-hmm.
probably the best word.
Yeah.
Things I did to soothe that over the years. So, especially, and most of that was even, I handled all of those issues, body issues, being overweight, kind of in high school, college, by being identified as something else. So I found a love for theater. So I became the fat kid who was in theater. And I did that well enough that even to people who made fun of me, it gave me a new identity that I could step into and in a sense not be made fun of as much anymore. Like I was this person, I could act, I could do comedy and drama, and so that became the Ryan I embraced really hard. And that worked for a while, and then kind of in my early adult life, I decided to go to the gym, which I'm kind of a all-in personality. I don't like to do things halfway, and even being overweight in a lot of areas of life, I'm disciplined. So that discipline went into the realm of the gym, and I got to add something new as an identity. Like I was, at that point I was working in theater, so I had a job in theater, and now I could become, you know, a fit person. And in my realm, that all came down to being strong, not necessarily fit. So that, again, you can see fat kid, theater kid, gym person, strong, every little attempt to become something, to become approved for something, instead of being disapproved for something. And so I hit the gym pretty hard in various ways over the years, and you can kind of chart a literal, I even had a trainer is the one who pointed this out to me 2 years ago. You could chart what I would do to my body. I would get really strong and really big, and then I would go into a cardio phase. So even as big as I am, 2 half marathons, an Olympic duathlon.
Wow.
And then I would get leaner, and then I would want to lift again. So then I started competing in powerlifting. And again, not until even this year, I look back on that. Nothing wrong with any of that. Like I still exercise. I love the gym.
Yeah.
But until you can get your mind around, why am I here? What is this to me? How much is it defining me? I didn't realize that every bit of it was just these little attempts to, instead of calling me fat, tell me something good. Instead of disapprove, approve. You know. And I'm not sure. I think in, and maybe that's, I know we have to be careful with kind of gender statements. Sometimes I'm not even comfortable with a gender statement that's so broad it applies, but I do, my experience would say that the body issues in men tend to not purely what I look like, but what can I do? What am I like?
Yeah. Maybe.
And I'm even willing for pushback or even harsh critique on that. That's my story. You know, I'm never going to be thin. It's just not in my genetic cards. You know, I'm never going to I'm never going to wear 30-inch jeans. My thigh's 30 inches. You know. But that doesn't mean I am not searching for something. To have somebody go, what? You know, for me, my big ones were, you can squat over 500 pounds? Yeah. Oh, I'm not the fat kid. I'm the strong man. So that's kind of my, the roots of it until now. And now as, you know, a 46-year-old, I look back in time and you see, my word, I've been trying to cover body image stuff my entire life. Has nothing to do with a bikini, has nothing to do with, in a sense, measuring up to any external standard. It has everything to do with, I don't want to be that kid, I want to be approved. And I don't think, quite honestly, since we're on this topic, I don't think most people that know me would know this. I doubt anybody would look at me and go, man, I wonder if he really struggles with body issues. I don't know that the church would.
Yeah.
Like, I think the church would wonder if women do. And even try to help, like, legitimately. Those are serious issues. I know we think about that with younger girls. You know, I think in our home we've tried to say some things and do some things on purpose in that issue, but I couldn't imagine 1 out of 1,000 people going, yeah, I bet that pastor, I bet he really struggles with body image. But my behaviors would now, through the right lens, indicate, oh yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Like, is it because it's just hidden, or you think that it's just like a women's issue, quote unquote?
Yeah, my first way I would respond is I wouldn't villainize anybody for the way it is. I don't think knowing that women struggle with that is a bad thing. Like, whoever raised that issue is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that there's any villainous answer as to why it isn't true about men. I don't even know that I'm smart enough to give a good answer, so I'm just going to give my off the cuffs. I think the things that drive men to body issues are part of it. Like some expectation of strength, ability, athletic prowess. And I'm in this culture. Mm-hmm. I can't speak outside of my experience in culture, but I think that's one. You're supposed to do this. So even when I was the theater kid, that's not necessarily masculine cool. Yeah. In our culture, right. The artist, the artsy guy, you know, who takes a makeup and costume design class and loves it. You know, so I think there is some of that dynamic of, why is it not out there? Well, maybe we don't know that's what it is. Again, it took me a long time to where I would voice it that way. So maybe it's the giving people the lens to go, and it's not just that the fact that you know, I know someone who I think would be the same because they're the tall, skinny person. And that's all they're known as. You know, if every time you're seen from the time you're 12 until you're 30 is, man, you are skinny. Yeah. Well, after a while, that's not who I am. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. But it's the same, you know, I have this memory when I was in high school in my French class. We were having a French baguette, and the girl handing it out looked at me and said, I'm going to give you the smallest piece because you need to really lose some weight.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Good night.
And you're like,
wait, what?
Yeah, but in that moment, you're like, I'm 46 years old. I would have been 16, 30 years. I see her face. You remember it. I hear it. Mm-hmm. You know, and God talks about that, the power of words, the power of preaching over someone. So yeah. I think that's why it's not as known in men. The ability to voice it might not be there. The ability to know it might not be there. And just the cultural awareness isn't the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So how has God's love changed you regarding this? Like, how he looks at you?
Yeah. So I think God's love has changed me in the sense of, I think the first thing is God's love lets you see it. Like, I could still be completely unaware. So for me, this year, I did this really amazing training last February. And I was sharing my story, kind of who I was, kind of like I did at the beginning, even mentioning kind of that identity stuff from my youth. And a guy in there looked at me and he goes, why do you talk about yourself as weak so much? Look at you, you know. And I was struck by that for a moment. Like, so he was able to give language to what was going on in me. I was living as if I thought I was weak. So the antidote is be strong. which affected a lot of the way I live, not just, working out, but be strong. Be strong. You don't want to be weak. Fat's weak. So I think the way God's love has changed me is first through his people, giving me a mirrors, no pun intended, with body image, mirrors to look in and go, okay, why am I thinking this way? And then I think that God's love is letting me, this is probably more accurate, try to live out the same things in new ways. So I've worked out 5 or 6 days a week for probably 14 years.
So it's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't miss. I work out on vacation. That's my choice. I enjoy it better if I get out and do something.
Same.
But so this past year, an example of that, I went to that where God really worked my heart in February. I had already signed up for a powerlifting competition in April. And as I'm heading towards it, I just kept asking myself, why am I doing this to my body? Like, it's really hard. Like, to get another 5 pounds, another 5 pounds, another 5 pounds, eat another 1,000 calories. You're eating 4,600, 5 grand calories a day.
Well, I've seen your videos of lifting. I'm like, whoo.
Yeah. And the problem was, and if we're honest, I wasn't that good. Like I mean that literally. Like in my age range, I guess, most of the people I were competing with were younger. It was a small powerlifting organization. I did an East Coast event, and I was so outclassed. But it's let me look at that and go, to literally ask the spiritual question, why am I going to that event?
Yeah.
And at the end of it, when it was that's just another opportunity to not be the fat kid. It wasn't really because I loved God and I loved the body that he gave me. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, even Jesus, a body you have given me. Jesus had to have a body to do his calling.
Yeah.
A physical body. But I looked at that event in April and I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I straining my body so much? Why am I eating so much? Why am I so heavy? And I was like, this has nothing to do with being a follower of Jesus. For me, the actions. So I'm still working out. I still lift, but it's not about numbers. I've taken that out, which is hard for me. I know I'm losing. And if people don't get that, that's okay. But again, I have a stack of workout diaries that are this big, and when that number is going down instead of up, fat kid is just like, I'm back, even though I know that's not true. So I've lost, my last competition I lifted at 296 pounds, and I am about 257 pounds since May.
So when you're saying not about the numbers, you're actually talking about physical weight that you're lifting.
Weight I'm lifting and my body.
So like as women, we say it's not about the numbers, about our physical weight.
Yeah, it's what I'm moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I couldn't come anywhere close to squatting what I did last May.
But do you feel free?
I am being freed. Very different. Like I'm not done because for me it's this ongoing thing of, who am I really? And can I go to this gym and do what I'm doing? Why am I doing it? Is it to gain approval, to feel better from someone else? And I have to ask myself that question a lot. Why do I talk about it? Why do I even put it on Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do I we're so used to our culture, but why do I put a video of me squatting so much weight? And why do I scroll through? So on Instagram, likes, it says liked by, and you'll have like one name and then it'll say plus 21 others.
Yeah,
or
you
whatever.
gotta check it out.
Why do you click on the 21 others? For Fat Kid Ryan, it's, oh yes, approve. Oh. And then you're over and it's like, well crap, what am I gonna do tomorrow?
Or why do I only have 19 when I have so many friends?
Yeah. But it's
You
not
know?
about the social media. For each one of those, it's
Yeah.
this, okay. And now it's more, I have weird goals. I want to take care of myself. I'm going to run a 5K on Thanksgiving morning with my sister, who is a runner. Marathons, half marathons.
Yeah.
Her son runs cross country.
Yeah.
My daughter, who just did cross country in me. So I'm going to be lumbering like a locomotive. But I'm at a point of going, this isn't approval from any of those people. This is actually, man, I want to be with my daughter.
Hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Even when she smokes me
Yeah.
and she has to wait for me at the end,
Mm-hmm.
that'll be a great memory. So I'm trying to switch things into, that's a follower of Jesus. That's a dad who loves Jesus, a dad who loves his daughter. I want to be around. Like, when you're 46 and powerlifting at 296, that is not wise. Not at my body mass and height. Not when you have 3 kids.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be, I'd like to be the granddad at some point who can still like take his grandkids on a hike.
Yeah.
You can't do that at 296 pounds when you're 60. You know?
Yeah, it's a lot on your body.
Yeah. So I have these other things that are flowing in going, okay, who do I want to be? And how does that connect to worship?
Hmm.
You know, which, I mean, I don't even know if we have time for the food conversation, which is just another one for me. Like, I think it's the same as body image. We'll talk about women and food a lot, almost to, I think, to unhealthy stereotype. Just the phrase bonbon. Nobody even knows what that is, but everybody knows that's kind of a genderized, you know, sit at home and eating bonbons.
Yeah.
Well, I struggle with food every day, and I love Jesus,
Yeah.
and I want to lead people at my church well, but food at times can come in and be this weird approval, even though I know it brings Fat Ryan back.
Mm-hmm.
Fat Ryan.
Mm-hmm. I hate
You know.
that you call yourself that. That makes me sad.
Well, it doesn't make me sad though, because now I look out through the lens and go, I am who I am. I was created to be who I am. I was created to be strong for reasons.